Hi. So today I'm going to be looking over some Zerospace Co-op. The main first character that I'm looking at here is Mera. She's the champion that you get when you play Protectorate. In general, you're trying to rush to unlock your units, and the return on the harvester is really good. So you want to get to the harvester and get to the units as quickly as possible. The way that the the zero space works, you have four resources. You have flux, veterancy, uh, hexite, and you have the energy bar on the top. So by getting the by getting the commandos here, like we're getting, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to get veterancy on them. So I want to get them out as quickly as I can and start getting levels up so they do more damage. With Mira, she has the ability here, and this ability puts a bubble there. And the commandos, they're kind of generic. They're light armors. So they die pretty easily. So there's a lot of micro that you kind of have to do with them. Um, I'm trying to get up the tech tree because I want to get the two upgrade buildings as quickly as possible, and I want to rush to basically get the two flux veins because the return on the flux makes my army really strong early. So ideally, I even prioritize flux over an expansion, but the map here forces me to take the space where the expansion is anyways, so I do that. I'm going down the far bottom right side here and trying to clear it. Um, Purpose of doing that is to try and open up the map much more quickly than I don't want to. I basically don't want to be over here anymore. So while I'm down here, I'm trying to clear this and get veterancy for my units. It's okay if Mira dies as long as I get lots of veterancy. The other unit that you can get is these bastions, and these bastions are great because they have an upgrade that's anti-light. On the top bar here, we have this four abilities. This one lets me call down any unit that I've unlocked, and this one lets me upgrade to max the veterancy of any unit that I have. So I prioritize basically trying to get the veterancy. Upgrading the veterancy is kind of expensive, so I don't like to use it too much on the small units. Um, so I'd rather just keep calling down more units at the start, and mostly I'm just trying to dodge these eruptions from these units. Most of the AOE is pretty devastating if you don't dodge out of it in zero space. So here the next unit that I'm trying to get are the griffins, and the griffin here that I have that you can see it. What it does is it heals my units. So the buildings that build the units as well as the griffins will heal. So by having the griffins out here early, it lets me stay on the map and do things. The here the problem one of the problems that Grell runs into is they don't have very good anti-air other than when they're using their harbingers. So this is the Grell harbinger, and that's its main anti-air unit. So if they don't build enough harbingers, you can basically just be on the map and just dominate them with air units. So one of the main strategies is to get the Iron Wings and here the Griffins. So the Iron Wings they have an ability and it does extra damage to ground. Ideally, what I want to do is clear these waves. Uh, excuse me. The Iron Wings have an ability that you cast that does AOE to ground. Ideally, there in the early game, getting the structures on the far right side of the map. This on the mini map, you can see these radar stations. They give you special upgrades, and sometimes they can unlock units. So the mercenary units, and the mercenary units are inherently stronger than the base units without upgrades. So ideally, I kind of want to prioritize clearing that. The main reason why I'm over here is I'm trying to find the last unit to get to the next phase in the game. You can see with the AOE, it's causing lots of damage here to my army. Um, one of the, so here I'm getting to the research boon, and it will tell me basically what other types of units I might want to build based off of which boon I get. And the, it just comes from a bit of knowledge of the units to know what they do. Um, you, you can't build some of the protectorate units. You can't build the juggernauts. You can't build the hellfires. The boon was to cast extra abilities, so I really like the Iron Wings, casting the AoE. So I'm just gonna mass Iron Wings basically, and try and use that as much as possible, and build static structures to help tank the damage, and put and to heal my units. So so here, this phase, I'm using my veterancy ability on the Iron Wings as much as possible to get them out, and they're clearing the map rather quickly. Um, so there's other units that you can get um, that, as protectorate that may seem like they would be useful. One is are these Cyclopses. And the Cyclopses, what they're really good at is they're really good at killing like the tanks, uh, the 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 terror tanks. And the other unit that you can kind of look to get are the Titans. And the Titans, they do extra damage to medium, and they also do and they also count as a medium unit. So those are other units that might be useful depending on the boons. I messed up the recall. I was supposed to recall there, but then I cast it twice and ended up just leaving my units there. For the most part, I'm just trying to use the buildings to buffer damage, and I'm using this third ability here now. This will let me use the airstrips and really clear a lot of the units rather quickly. So the airstrip stations, they also cost only Hexite, and so once I feel like I'm trying to just spam Hexite, I just build them all as quickly as possible. From here, we've managed to get to kill all the units, and then which pushes the cycle again forward, which is my goal here to get through the map as quickly as possible by pushing it forward. So I want to get the other research boon as a priority here. So I'm rushing to see the boon. This time the boon uh, is units with light armor do extra damage. So units with light armor would be like commandos. Um, I think also I think that griffins are also considered light armor. Iron wings I think are considered medium. Um, so this means that having a few extra griffins probably is decent here. And so now I'm just trying to set up for the final phase. Getting the units, the barracks that build your basic units, they heal everything, so it's really nice to have it. This guy here uses the walls. The walls are connected to a faction in multiplayer, but in co-op, all the races can basically build the walls. So it's kind of I'm just gonna fast forward till the fight, because we're kind of just sitting here until the fight happens. This map has the objective where we basically have 4 days of phases that we're setting up for, and from here I'm basically just the micro that I'm doing is I'm casting T and casting the airstrikes onto things. Every once in a while, I'll just back up and move forward once my units start to take damage visibly from the start. And so basically, I'm just casting. You'll see that once they start to spawn in bigger numbers, I'm just casting the T. You can see the counter going down for the number that I have banked up. And then once the little units start spawning again, you notice that the man eater stops spawning. I use the airstrip to kill all those. Um, and the Irondi mechs that we got that's passive, they do AoE. These Irondi mechs to to everything around them. So I don't necessarily need to have uh, they're just really strong units. So I don't necessarily need to have anything too crazy. So just so this is the second game. I'm playing with somebody else. Not a I'm This looks like it's also a protectorate game. So similarly as before, trying to focus on getting Mera down there and getting as much damage done with Mera as possible. I'm trying to clear the bases just because they're closest objectives, and I'm getting two barracks as quickly as I can because this one has a few hexites laying around. Try and get to my uh, with with Legion you get three harvesters per base. With Grell you get two per base, and with Protectorate you have one per Flux Vein, I should say. So you max out as 3, 6, or 9 depending on your race. The I'm using the energy. You can use the upgrades. They're not so based on energy on the controlling the towers. So they're mostly just based off flux in this mode. You can see it's similar to before, where I'd focused a bit on getting the commandos and getting them the veterancy as quickly as possible. So because we're playing against the protectorate as well, um, they'll build bastions eventually. So I need to go ahead and transition into bastions and not just sit on the commandos, but really start trying to get back into the bastions. Um, Also, I used the call down to go ahead and get a Titan as quickly as I could, and then I used the ability to level up Titan, and then I also built a single airstrip just so I could use it. Um, Here again, I I built this over here mostly for vision. Um, so I was wrong. We're against Legion. So against Legion, the armored thrall are kind of a pain. So one of the best ways to deal with the armored thralls is to get um, like the bastions are best against light, but the titans they're a lot better against these against the armored thralls. So I prioritize getting those out, and you'll notice that last time I basically got three barracks, and this time I'm rushing three factories, and I'm getting upgrades on my Titan and getting upgrades on just a few other buildings. You'll notice also that I delayed getting to the Griffin, whereas last time I'd really rushed getting to the Griffin. Uh, and because of the fact that we're gonna have to push in here and there'll be terror tanks, I've already started getting Cyclopses, and I like to ideally I want to get about four Cyclopses and just keep at least four out for the early mid game of most of the maps. So that's kind of uh, I want to use the call down to try and get to four slash build buildings to get to four. So I'm at two right now. Um, I stopped at two griffins just because I don't need quite so much healing as before, and started to also get a few more on the iron wings. Um the the I'm also prioritizing getting the barracks down and the airstrips. Because the Legion come at you with much larger numbers than Protectorate in the games, or than Grell. Sorry about that. With so it's nice to have that extra uh the airstrips a bit earlier as well. The the other unit that's kind of cool to get it are predators if you have a long range kite, but in this case they spawn and they're basically on top of you. So in like multiplayer predators are a lot better, but in co-op I feel like they're just not they're, like it's just hard to have enough room to kite. From here, there's a set number of spawn waves. So I basically count five because I think it's about five every time. And then on the fifth wave, I usually just go ahead and start to leave and go clear the other parts of the map. You can see that my veterancy is still kind of low on my base units, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm trying to just get vision on the maps. You can see that I'm still a little slow killing the terror tanks. I lost the Cyclops due to a rally. So my Cyclops count is still only 2 here. I'm trying to with the icon in the top left, trying to kind of update the units as I talk about them, so you know what the names are, because I assume most people don't know the names. From here, they have so they start having the dreadnoughts. The dreadnoughts get upgrades that they do extra damage to air. So it is kind of it's kind of a thing where they're actually better at killing air. Here we'll see what the boon is. This case the boon is extended range for my units. So with the extended range, it just means that the Cyclops do a bit better. Um, and these are a bit better units in this case. Um, it's not really going to help the Bastions so much. Um, But you can see how the Cyclops have an advantage. They're coming in with mammoths, which are these big Legion units. You can see that also on these waves I'm starting to use the airstrips to deal with the units. The one of the things about Legion is they have these dark disciples, and as the thrall die, they do AoE damage. So you kind of want to use the airstrips to target the dark disciples, so that they don't do the extra damage as things are coming out. Um, so kind of going back to the focus now, I I do like to keep a good portion of the bastions out on the map because the bastions are here. I also noticed that my teammate is getting like the right units to counter what's going on. Um, he got a few extra griffins to heal, which is really nice. They do well with the extra range. Um, and he's playing and he's getting some extra of the Titans, which are really good against the small light units. So this means I can kind of skimp out a little bit because he's getting the right comp in this scenario against these units. So yeah, the as I mentioned at the start, the Titans, the Cyclops, the Griffins, they're the main units I like to get against the Legion when I'm playing Protectorate. Um, so we're trying to set up for the finale here. To set up for the finale, I put healing units around the places around the map to kind of set up, and the buildings also take damage. Here I cast again. I cast the cooldown ability, and I'm starting to focus a bit more on the iron wings, just because the ground units stack kind of a bit too much if we get too many ground units together. So 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 it's just nice to have a bit more of the Iron Wings as there. And also they do really well against when the mass waves come in because I can cast the rockets. So you'll see here that my rockets were at 40 and now by the time this wave's done, I'm down to 26. I usually try and cast about 10 rockets a wave or something from the Iron Wings. And and I'm kind of questioning that this guy's not how much how good he really is. Because I kind of expected him to be max here, but he might just be playing like a low unit count, or he may not actually be as good as I thought he is. Um, so here we have the final boss fight, and you can see on the main objectives that destroy the enemy fortress objective is done, and that's this game. So Uh, there's a few other small things that I think are helpful. So this game we're playing Legion. Legion, you start out with Galavax. Galavax has 2 modes that he can attack with. One mode he casts the AOE fireball here. You can see it with this Q here. This other W lets you permanently mind control a unit. Maybe it's not permanent actually. Maybe just be like 4-minute timer, but it's really long if it's not permanent. Here, the same priority. We really want to get the harvesters built. So you'll notice that they're there, and then start the upgrades on the units because the units aren't so strong, and try to get a little bit of veterancy on these units. You can use the energy to call down 4 different towers, and one of the towers just summons some basic units that will die for you. And their production structures have an upgrade that are an energy upgrade. So the energy upgrade lets you just call down more towers. And that's the real big advantage of him is that if you don't know what to do with your hexite, you just keep building your supply structures and upgrading them, and just keep calling down to build the units rather than just build the units directly. Um, Here in this case, we're trying to protect these towers against the dreadnoughts. The dreadnoughts are the really big flying units that the Legion has. So we're trying to set up against those. There's 2 types of thralls that we use. We have the steel swarm, which are the armor thralls. They're melee units. They run up on top of things, and you can get a melee upgrade for them that makes them a bit tankier. I prefer that one against the Legion because they come at you in such small numbers. Um, and then they have the range thralls too, which are really good against things. So here I'm looking at it. Okay, we're against Legion, so I want to get armor to make my armor thralls stronger. Cast the AOE on this and and start upgrading my supply structures rather than keep building more barracks to get lots of small units out early. I basically want to save every bit of flux that I can to for upgrades. And I also want to start mixing in some of the Dark Disciples. The Dark Disciples are really nice because they'll do AOE damage against these waves. So, and I'm also mixing in a few of the Rhinos, aka the Exalteds. The Rhinos are nice because they just fire really fast and they run around, they harass things really fast. So it let me basically micro them and nuke a single unit. I mess up and I lost them to the towers because I wasn't microing well enough. You can still see in the back here these exalted just getting all the extra energy from the units dying around them. And I'm going ahead and starting my first terror tank. The You can ask what's the priority with the terror tanks. Well, the priority is I usually think is to just get the flamethrowers against the Legion, and then with the dreadnoughts have an air-to-air upgrade. It's your R, so I prioritize that because the dreadnoughts do the most damage against the enemy dreadnoughts. So between getting the flamethrowers on the terror tanks and getting the air-to-air missiles on the dreadnoughts, it means that I have the best, strongest army that I can have. Um, so the from here, I'm still just trying to spend my hexite to try and get more of the energy regeneration from my supply structures. You might ask, well, what's a good number to have when? I like to get to about 10 and then start filling in the rest of everything else that I have. And then I go up to about 20 and and try to do stuff on the map. And then once I have sort of the rest of my production structures built, I go up to about 25 to 30. So by the time I end the map, usually I have at least 25. But for the most part, kind of during the early phase, I try and get to about 10, and then I do a transition to 20 once I start having the terror tanks and the dreadnoughts come out. Um, though you can build the mammoths. The mammoths are really good for killing the buildings. That's the main reason why you get the mammoths. But they're not as good as they used to be. They kind of got nerfed in the recent patch. You can put a dark disciple on top of them, and they actually will do a bit more damage to the buildings. So, with the towers, I'm calling down healing towers. The healing towers, they mostly heal the ground units as priority. Um, but they will heal the dreadnoughts. So, uh, I kind of feel that it's better to heal them whenever they're low rather than get more units and just back off. Here, the terror tanks are the main counter to the terror tanks, and you want to start getting the secondary turrets on the terror tanks that do the extra damage to the terror tanks. You'll eventually start clearing the map pretty quickly with the towers, and the towers will start to become a priority. So I'm almost to the point where I have all the 20 supply structure upgraded supply structures kicking in. So now my goal is to try and I've been trying to do some sort of scouting with these towers, but now I'm going to just be placing them in big packs. As far as counts, I like to do about 7 reds per healing tower and put them in a pack like that. Early on, I also like to get about 6 to 8 of the towers to build that give me the units before getting too many of the healing towers or the damage towers. I see that my teammate is basically he's basically clearing the rest of the map. So now I'm trying to get to. So I'm gonna try and get those extra 5 to 7 or so supply structures to go ahead and finish out getting all of my regen up. And and the you can see that I have the that my teammate had cleared the side parts of the map, and we end up getting these Mera and Halo tanks. The Halo tanks are kind of extra damage versus big units against anti-armored units, so I can sort of cut out a little bit against getting armored things for a little the armored upgrades on my terror tanks, and they're gonna help kill the enemy terror tanks a bit faster. So from here, I kind of just want to start going from having 2 dreadnoughts to start getting my dreadnought count up because the fact I did get these Halo tanks. So and mostly I just want to try and scout, kind of put lots of towers around the map. So you can build regular towers and you don't require vision. So so what I'm doing here is I'm building like a regular tower, and then once the regular tower is built by using the build hotkey, then I'm using the energy bar to build the rest of the towers around it once I have the vision. I can also call down an emperor. In this case, I don't really like to call down the emperor here in this scenario because there's not like a big final fight. The final fight spread all around the map, and I don't like the cube thing very much. The cube thing does damage when small units are dying around it, but I'm not really building too many small units. So so I'm just not really using either one. Um, and but on the left side, you can see that the dreadnoughts that's to kill 22. Don't let any 3 temples destroy. There's 6 temples on the map, so you just can't let 3 of the 6 die. Here you can see that I did 275k damage. So now playing another Legion game. So in this case, I have Galavax. Galavax has the 2 modes. I'm gonna go ahead and try and clear the 2 parts of the map. You can see that I'm against Prot units, so I have the commandos are jumping at me. The commandos are light armor. They actually do pretty good damage against Galavax, but I'm not too worried about it. The fireball is way better than the nuke. I like to save the nuke. Very similar to so against Prot, some of the things that's subtly different. I do actually start to get the armor, the the other the steel sworn, aka the previously called armored thralls. I like to get them a bit earlier. But still, I'm just focusing, trying to get to that, that magic 6, 7 uh, buildings there. I don't have vision up here. I can mind control a unit if I can get vision of it, but I just can't get vision of it, and that's what I've been trying to do. So I'll cast Fireball and then try to mind control it. It died before I could. Um, and I'm building the Terror Tower there to go ahead and start unlocking things. Again, I have 3 of the energy supply structures up now. again using the call down to call down the units early on as my primary focus. The question is when to transition. You also notice that I'm not getting exalteds. Exalteds are good against medium units. In this case, there's not really there's not really many medium units out on the map. So like I'm not really seeing any of these titans. So that's why I'm not really building any of the exalted rhinos right now. Um, I would like to build some dark disciples just because there's enough small units. But I end up not doing it just for the sake of not doing it. I have enough energy going on that I can start clearing the rest of the map. So now I got up to 10-ish there, so I'm gonna go ahead and just try and poke. I'm not trying to necessarily clear too hard, but just poke. The Soul Invictus, the walking mech, it's actually pretty decent at surviving things. I mind controlled the, here this Griffin to go ahead and start and just heal my mostly to heal my teammates' units. My teammate this time I don't like what this teammate's doing because he's actually getting Titans, and we don't really see many units that are medium that we're going against. These Hellfires that we're going against, they have AoE. They kill my thrall off really quickly. So I kind of want to. I don't want to tank too much with the with with either the Still Swarm or the ranged thralls. Um, I really want to tank all the damage with towers. So it really makes the idea that I'm not going to really build hardly any small units anymore. I'm trying here. I go ahead and I steal the Juggernaut, these big tank. It does extra damage to heavy as well, and it's heavy armor. So it's really nice to have because the waves come. There'll be big Juggernaut waves. Um, the we just saw a lot of the predators coming. You saw how poorly they do if they're not being micro. They just come in and fight. And these are dying super fast, mostly just because I have that Juggernaut that I stole against it. I'm looking at my teammate, and my teammate still has a really bad comp. There's nothing that he has that really makes sense to have against Legion. He has like a good anti. Um, like his lineup's just not good because the Juggernauts are armored. Um, so I should be getting the terror tanks right now. Um, I'm just not, um, because I'm bad. Uh, there's not really any other reason to explain it. Um, I didn't want to have um, the the Iron Wings doing a lot of damage to my army, so I do like to get one Dreadnought um, kind of early. The the Protector have the Walkers too. Um, and I can't think of the name of the walker, so it's kind of hard for me to pull up the image of it when I just can't think of the name. So here I'm getting the terror tank. I'm just gonna start massing terror tanks, um, and that's really how that's really the best thing that I can do here. Um, and try and focus on stealing more of the juggernauts. So with the terror tank turrets, the flamers aren't as good in this case. So I really want to get the Gatling guns, and also get the Gatling guns on the dreadnoughts this time. Just because they'll do a lot better in this scenario. You can see the Hellfire being annoying. The wave spawned in. I'm okay with kind of just letting my teammate fight it. Because I have a lot of the thralls too. Right now is a good time for me to go ahead and use the cube, but I kind of want to save the cube for the Emperor for the final phase. So I'm getting lots of extra thralls at this point and trying to stack as many as I can so I can get a large number of the Emperor out for the final phase. I'm also getting energy regen towers so that I can just spam a bunch of units at the end. This one was a mistake. I meant to cast damage towers and I cast the healing towers. So here I cast the damage towers. This Wanderbot thing, it just gives you, it makes it so that you generate more energy on the top bar, but you already generate a ton of energy. So like it's actually not too helpful in terms of what it's doing here. Um, and so for the final phase, there's just a few waves that spawn in. I'm gonna just fast forward so you can kind of see the setup where I'm just uh, you kind of want to block from this angle, this angle, this angle, and this angle, but mostly focus on this top right and this lower left. It's, it's where the majority of things come in. Um, it kind of sucks that the Wanderbot's over there. The Wanderbot glitches too. You don't really control it. Sometimes it will just go like respawn somewhere. It might be over the wall or it might do something weird. So that's kind of a tricky thing about dealing with the Wanderbot. Um, so now we're setting up for the final fight. I'll just fast forward a little bit. Here's the Wanderbot. So I'm putting the turrets behind it to try and aggro everything, and then I'm gonna call down my own Emperor. Um, so so here we'll set up and call down the Emperor. So right now I'm sacrificing as many souls as I can to get a big Emperor. The good number that you're shooting for is 50 or higher. I think below 50 it's actually not so useful, not near as useful as having the cube. Um, so that's kind of and that's this game. So I think I have a Grell game. So we'll go ahead and explain the Grell game last. With Grell, the difference is that you have Vynthra. Vynthra, she has basically Stim as her main damage ability. And it's kind of similar to before, where you want to get, uh, you have this infusion mechanic here at the top. You want to cast the infusion. It takes 16 energy basically to cast it. So you'll notice that like right the moment that I hit 16 there on the infusion, I cast it. I'm trying to climb up the tech tree as quickly as I can, mostly because uh, the good units against the protectorate are the are this are well I don't know. You have the stingers. The stingers are really useful early on because they do decent against the commandos. The commandos don't do a ton of damage against them, but the brood guard, the second unit that you get, it's medium, has medium armor, so it's actually pretty efficient. To do extra dam, your unit that deals extra damage to medium is the man eaters. So in this case, we can see that they have it. It, eventually we're going to want a few man eaters in case they have rhinos or they have the armored steel swarms. So we'll go back to getting the man eaters. The third one that you can get are the lashers. The lashers are they just have really high fire rate and they do extra damage basically um, to tanks. So the lashers you get to either counter like the Mera and Halo tanks, you get them to counter the the juggernauts. You get them to counter the terror tanks. Um, so yeah, so I tend to try and prioritize getting like 2 brood guard and then get about 6 lashers, and then basically I like to just get into harbingers. Harbingers do extra damage to the heavy, and they shoot up and down. And the thing that makes them feel kind of more like SE2 rather than Brood War Zerg are the harbingers. The harbingers basically are like ravagers, and they infuse up rather well. So here you can see that I use the stim on the Vynthra to do a lot. I put a shield my teammate can put a shield on the with his ability on the man-eater, so I just keep the man-eater forward to try and tank. So while the Galavax shields the man-eater, it's got a ton of health. And you can see here I have the Brood Guard. I prioritized infusing up the man-eater so that it would be able to tank for the Emperor here. Kind of a little nuance. And with the secondary call down here you have, it calls down your supply structure. Your supply structure heals your units around it. So calling it, and it also creates the little Skrellings, the little things here that you use to build your units. Vynthra can eat this Skrelling too to heal with her ability. So it's always helpful to try and to have a few Skrellings to eat from when she gets low, so she doesn't die. Um, Against the Thrall in particular, the Threshers they once you kind of gather a position, the Threshers become extra good. So now once I hit sort of that critical mass, about 6 or 7 Lashers, I have like 2 Man-Eaters. Now is when I want to start transitioning into Mass Harbinger and Mass Threshers. So I'm building there. I'm basically building 4 more of my medium building structures so that I can really mass the quantities of these other units. I'm getting a few upgrades. I start getting the upgrades for the Harbingers as well. You can see that they have the Terror Tank, and the Lashers just eat through it really quickly. Um, the the main thing is just to have the little the Stingers just tank for things. The Stingers are the things that are like the little Zerglings. The Skrellings are the things that build out of the plants, which is confusing. So you can see here they have the Dreadnought, and I need to get more Harbingers built to deal with the Dreadnought. I only have 2 Harbingers. I'm focusing on the infusion of those. The attack wave's coming in from there, but I'm not too worried about it because my teammates can just cast the towers and defend it. So you can see that my Harbinger numbers are starting to really pick up now. And this is when you're starting to see me also start to build the tier 3 units. You can get Weavers, and they cast like a slow on the enemy. And they also they cast an ability on your own units. I think I forget what it does. Maybe it makes them attack faster, do more damage or something. I don't like them too much. But the big ones that are like the Ultralisks are the Reavers, and they're what dash in and do most of the damage. Here you can see that for the micro there I did on the left side. I went ahead and got my Threshers and fused them up, and then put them into like their siege mode, so they can bombard the thralls as they come in. And then um, and then I'm trying to just basically protect the Reaver the entire time with the rest of my units. I am a little worried about the Man-Eaters dying. So I want to save my ability, and then the supply structure. I actually call it down, and I try and set it next to any low health Man-Eaters. And that's actually kind of my priority. The and I have sort of the the Threshers here that I've infused up. The Threshers, I feel that they have a good count of them is about 5. Uh, They're just kind of supply heavy, and that's the only problem with them. Um, and the as far as the upgrades here, the I like to get armor or health or whatever it is on the Harbingers, just keep them alive a bit more. The Tree of Life, I think what it does is it resurrects units, so I don't want to just cast it if there's not stuff there. So I'm kind of waiting for everything to show up, and then I'll cast the Tree of Life here to kill all this. Um, but I'm looking also for Threshers to see how many I have. I only see about 5 or 6, so I'm going to start building more Threshers to kind of be a little bit better. And go ahead and set up again with the Lasher, the tank unit here to siege everything. while I go ahead and rebuild the lashers. I have enough harbingers that I can deal with these dreadnoughts flying above. So you can see them that the harbinger count here, this unit, that I'm about 20 of them, and I think that 20 is about the right number to have. The map's basically kind of ending. Sometimes these portals spawn kind of a boss kind of waves on them. So ideally, you want to have ranged units on this map, particular to deal with the portals. So that's kind of some of the thoughts about why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and I hope this is helpful to understand. Thank you for watching.